Welcome, Jackednnerdy fans, to my non-spoiler review for Twisters. If you're a fan of the 90s film starring Bill Paxton, you are definitely going to want to watch this review. But before we jump into it, as always, make sure you hit that subscribe button. That way you guys never miss out on a video. And if you do enjoy our content, please make sure you hit that thumbs up button. It greatly supports the channel and it doesn't cost you a thing. So let's jump straight into it. If you're like me and you grew up in the 90s, no doubt you would have seen the original film Twister, starring Bill Paxton and I believe it was Meg Ryan. That film has a huge place in my heart. I watch it couple of times a year just for nostalgia. I love the film immensely. So when I heard that they were making a sequel, I was both excited, but I was also nervous. As you know, a couple of years ago we lost the great Bill Paxton. So when I heard that they were making a sequel film without him, I was a little bit sad, and I felt that it was a little bit of a disservice to him. However, as the momentum of the film grew, trailers started to come out, announcements of casting, I did get more and more excited. And as I said, as soon as tickets went on sale, I was all in. Very, very excited to go see this film. So was Mrs. Jackednnerdy. We went together a day or two ago as a bit of a date night. And you know what? We were both, very, very pleased with what they did. We were not disappointed at all. If you are a fan of the original film, you will enjoy this film. It brings a lot of nostalgia back. Carries a similar kind of momentum behind it. Really, there was maybe only two kind of callbacks to the original. I was a little bit curious right at the beginning. I was trying to figure out, is this a direct sequel? Is it a prequel? What is it? And the best that Mrs. Jackednnerdy and I could figure out is that it is a direct sequel about 20 odd years into the future from the original. Obviously, the callbacks are just very, very subtle and they glance over it very, very quickly. So don't expect lots of connections and lots of interweaving to the original story. I'm not in the business of giving spoilers, but the one spoiler I will say is that there are no cameos in this film. It is completely, essentially it's a complete standalone film. You could say, you could treat this as a complete standalone film and not even a sequel. Obviously, people who do know the original, I would say, Gen Xers and millennials will, or should I say, older millennials and Gen Zers will definitely obviously get the connection and the understanding or whatever. But Gen Zers and Gen Alphas, they can watch this film and, with no connection to the original film and still enjoy it immensely. So in that way, it's a good thing. As I said, it appeals to multiple audiences, which is a good thing. One of the biggest draw cards for me was the casting. As soon as they said Glen Powell was in this film, automatically I was interested. I think he's a fantastic actor. He's got great range. As I like to call him, or as I called him to Mrs. Jackednnerdy, Mr. Hunky McHunkerson. He's got a massive female following at the moment, which is a good thing. It draws female audiences to the cinemas. There are token scenes in this film which obviously play to the female audiences. You know, almost like the token shirtless Thor scenes. There are some similar, albeit not shirtless, but there are some very similar scenes in this film that are specifically put in there for the ladies. But hey, I'm not going to complain. I think he's a fantastic actor. I am a little bit concerned that he's oversaturating the market and picking up too many roles at the moment. But, you know, we'll just have to wait and see. I loved him in Top Gun Maverick. I thought he was really good in that. So I'm just very, very intrigued to see where he goes. But he was fantastic in this film, hands down. I enjoyed every moment of him being on screen. Anthony Ramos, also, he was really, really good. You know, I've been a bit critical of his casting choices or his movie picks in the past. You know, I think it was Transformers. You know, wasn't the best fit for him. But you know, I thought he was really, really good in this. I actually enjoyed him on screen. I thought he did a fantastic job. Yeah, I'm gonna butcher her name. Kiernan Shipka. The lovely lady who played the lead, Abby, in this film. You know, she did a fantastic job as well. I thought she was very, very engaging on the screen. I can't really remember what else she's been in, but I thought she did quite a good job. Also, that was really good. A couple of other faces that I recognised in it was Katy M. O'Brien. She's been popping up in a lot of films here, there, and everywhere, and I think she's really good, and she's got a very promising future. You know, and look, to be honest, the rest of the casting was relatively unknown. You know, Daisy Edgar-Jones, David Cornswet, you know, never really, Daryl McCormack. You know, lots of fresh faces, relatively unknown, that I didn't recognise, which was kind of good because, you know, it padded out the cast without kind of over-complicating it, and it allowed you just to really primarily focus on the main three characters, which was Glen, Kiernan, and Anthony. They were the kind of the lead three that the story was focusing on, so it was kind of good that you didn't have any of these other kind of big name actors and actresses that would kind of overshadow that, so you could really just focus on that. So fantastic job with the story. It was really engaging, very entertaining, fantastic casting, I have to say. The visuals were absolutely spectacular. As you've probably seen from the trailers, the visuals, the twisters, the size and scope of kind of what they're dealing with and what they're seeing there is absolutely fantastic. You know, it's kind of interesting how comparing it to the 90s one. In the 90s one, there are a couple of scenes where obviously, you know, you see that they use the special effects and you've got the twisters, but then, you know, but they used it sparingly. You know, quite often there would be like, oh, a twister hit over here, but you wouldn't actually see it. You would just see the aftermath kind of thing. Obviously, because back then special effects were still very much in development and they didn't want to overuse it. In this film, they definitely invested a lot of money into the visuals and the CG and everything of getting the twisters out there and all that. So there's a lot more intense action scenes in this with what's going on as opposed to the original, but I think it very much suited the story and they didn't kind of overdo it, which I felt was really good. The pacing of the film is pretty good as well. You know, it's not one of these films where, you know, you're kind of sitting there twiddling your thumbs or you're finding it, you know, boring. Boring is definitely not a word I would use for this film. However, I would say I've just realised, so the film itself is about just over 2 hours long. So it's about 2 hours. Well, we'll round it off, say 2 hours. Look, I mean, they possibly could have trimmed it down maybe an extra 10 minutes or so. But, you know, given the pace of the film, the cadence, all of that, as I said, you definitely don't find yourself getting bored at all in this film. So look, all things considered, I think it was a perfect kind of combination of all the different elements all coming together for a really fun, entertaining film. This is definitely a film that you could watch multiple times. You could have it on in the background while you're doing some ironing or something. It appeals to many audiences, and it's definitely got the rewatchability. If you're thinking of a date night film, this is definitely a good one. It's got stuff in there for the girls, it's got stuff in there for the guys. So it's definitely a good date night film, a good popcorn movie, by all means. So I would definitely encourage everyone to go out and check out Twisters. It's got something for everyone, and it's a good, fun, enjoyable film. There was a lady in our screening that brought her young son with her. He would have only been maybe 6 or 7, and he seemed to do fine with it as well. So look, I mean, and there's no sex scenes, there's no real violence, there's no real bloodshed, none of that kind of stuff. So you could have kids in around it as well. I mean, look, they might get a little bit scared because of the storms and things like that, but it just depends. You'd have to gauge it with your child. Junior Jackednnerdy at the moment, he's only 5, so I definitely wouldn't be showing him. But maybe in a couple of years, maybe 2 years, absolutely no issues there. Finally, I'll just wrap up. So this film had a massive budget of $200 million, which I completely get because of the size and scope of the visual effects that were used. I think, the original film Twister would have had a very, very modest budget, I think of like 50 million or something like that. Very, very small budget. But that was the times that film was made. So big budget, $20 million. Look, this film is definitely going to make that money back. Absolutely. One hands down, it's going to make that money back in spades. It's got a 7.1 out of 10 on IMDB and a 79% on Rotten Tomatoes. I would definitely agree with that. Look, I'll split the difference. I'd give it a 7.5. 7.5 all day, every day. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. It deserves it. It is a great film. As I said, lots of rewatchability, lots of great one-liners, fun, enjoyable. I'm definitely going to watch this film again, as soon as I can. Look, busy lifestyle and everything, I probably won't get to see it again till it's on streaming. But you know what? As soon as it is, I'll definitely give it another watch. I enjoyed this film immensely. I'd encourage everyone to go out, use your dollars, support your local cinema. Go and check out Twisters. As I said, if you've got a date night coming up, you want to go and see a movie with your better half, this film is definitely a good one to go and see. So go and check out Twisters, still starring Glen Powell. You won't be disappointed. Until next time, guys, stay jacked and stay nerdy.